How did you get involved with Spare Change?
Okay, I'm going to try to give you the most condensed version possible of this story. So, one of my good friends from college, went to school in Cleveland, was in Chicago before me. He lived or was friends with another kid that went to our college who grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. The kid from Omaha, Nebraska who lived with this, hold on, I'm trying to figure out the best way to put this story. All right, long story short, a friend of a friend of a friend was friends with my good buddy and then soon to be roommate when I moved to Chicago. His older brother happened to be this gentleman named Chris, who coincidentally, when I had one of my first improv shows in Chicago years and years and years ago, he was friends with the sister of a guy that was in my group. So he was like at the show, and then later that night, because I was friends with his brother, we were all like the same party, and so we met there, and Chris actually set me up with my first, because he was like, oh, you were awesome, because he used to be an actor, so he said, I gotta set you up with my agent. So, greatest guy in the world, I knew him for one night, and he set me up to get an interview with his agent literally that Monday, and I went in and they signed me.
Oh, wow.
And I had just gotten into everything when I was there. And then fast forward to LA, he was out here, probably 3 years before I was, and he was just, working in the .com world. And I worked on a couple web series that he helped out on and did a couple guest spots in. And so he just kind of, on the business side, had this idea. He's like, all these people put X amount of dollars into small digital work or short form. I think there's a way to, profit from it in the feature world. So like, let's see what we can do. So called me together and we're like, all right, let's make a movie. Here's how much money we know we have. He worked on a film in Chicago with a guy named Jonathan Talbert on Jonathan's first feature called Nowheresville like 10 years ago in Chicago, who is now on Orange is the New Black and worked with Netflix. We wanted to talk to him about distribution and how that's changed drastically over the past 2 years, but how that game in the digital world works. And so about an hour into our lunch, he was like, well, when are you guys shooting this? That's a great Jonathan impersonation. You guys don't know him, but it was perfect. When are you guys shooting this? And we told him our shoot date. We wanted to get it done by, the early of 2014. And he was actually just getting off of Orange is the New Black, like right when we wanted to start production. So he's like, do you have a director yet? And then his producing partner that he's worked with on shorts and stuff, Arturo, who was also on Orange is the New Black, was kind of doing the same schedule. They both wanted to come on, so us four just kind of all clicked. But Arturo's from San Diego. He's not a Chicago guy. He's not a Midwest guy. So he was the outsider, but he's also one of the greatest human beings. So those two directed. Chris handled the business side, and I was the producer having most of the creative side, working with the talent and script and everything.
And did all of you see eye to eye on how you would get the movie out there? Like, did you differ at any point? Like, oh no, let's try for these big festivals.
There was, but nothing. It was just, if something got vetoed or if there was a majority vote, it was just like, okay, that's what we're doing. There was never really a fight. We kind of all trusted each other. We know what we were all good at, what our best, attributes were to bring to the project. So we kind of left each other alone in whatever we were doing. So, Chris does the research and he, got the funding for it. So we're going to kind of follow his lead. We'll throw in little things here, what we want to do and where we think it could help. But for the most part, nothing was decided unless it was collectively, though, which was hard to do when we're all working different things now. But
what would you say is your strong suit that you bring to it, aside from being funny and an actor and charming?
That's so weird. I was actually gonna say all of those things.
And it's a triple threat.
No, I told you to scratch that.
Sorry.
I have an eye for bringing in the right people. Because if you bring in one, whether it's a cast member or a crew member, one grumpy Gus or someone that doesn't want to be there, someone that's negative, it affects everybody. It does, and you're stuck doing this, and it's always hot. No matter where you are, no matter what production you're on, it's always hot. Because you can never have the air running if you're inside, and there's lights everywhere, and there's wires. It's always hot. So everyone's already cranky. Everyone always wants to know when lunch is anyways. So if you bring in one bad person that's not optimistic, or as optimistic or half full as everybody else, and it's going to break the house of cards a little bit. So bringing in from, because we had, I think 73 speaking roles, which for a small independent film is a lot. And, we auditioned for all of them. It wasn't just like, hey, I know you, why don't you come in and do this? Because we wanted to kind of cast a wider net. and see, give other people an opportunity that may not have had one to be in a film. So it was bringing in good people that were just fun to work with, and we're good at what they do.
Sounds like you're really good at knowing the right people, knowing who would work.
Yeah, and I like that, putting together, building your own team. And the girl that wrote it, Stephanie Mathlis, another comedy connection, I used to be in a group with this girl, Katie, and she was best friends because she went to college with this girl named Stephanie, who is now a writer in New York. And like a long time ago, Stephanie was in town in Chicago, because that's where she's actually from. And we met like one night, and then 4 years later, when I was looking for stuff and just sending something out to friends, like, if you know anybody, we're looking for scripts. And Katie was like, I think you met Stephanie years ago. She has a script because she used to be managed by, I won't say, she used to be managed by, XYZ, but she's not with them anymore. Would you take a look at it? And then I was like, A, it's awesome. B, I met her and I know she's cool. And C, she's going to be willing to work, because it's a different business when you're dealing with a small budget. You have to sacrifice a little bit up front in the hopes that it does well in the back.